With great power comes great responsibility.
Compromise where you can. Where you can't, don't. Even if everyone is telling you that something wrong is something right. Even if the whole world is telling you to move. It is your duty to plant yourself like a tree. Look them in the eye and say no. You move.
Never step onto the battlefield of ideas unprepared. Before you enter the fray, you need a plan. And there's no better place to get one than right here on Tactics with host Caleb Colquitt. The Situation Room goes live now on News Radio 1440.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for being with us here on Tactics, where speech isn't violence, tolerance isn't love, and disagreement isn't hate. Welcome to the program, regardless of how you're watching to us. I'm sorry, I got so excited for our big Festivas special that I messed up my own catchphrase. That's sad. But we do have a lot going on here. As you know, December 23rd is Festivus. It's something that we do every year. We want to make a big deal. And I, being the rebel that I am, celebrate Festivus instead of any other holidays. But just like we did last year, we do have a special guest going to be joining us on the program. But unlike last year, this year she was actually able to be here in person. Welcome to the program, a friend of the program that was my former co-host for a long time and somebody that I have a great deal of admiration for, Laura Gladwell. Welcome to the program.
Hey, my name's Laura Clark now.
That's right. I actually
Whole new year.
I have you down as Laura Clark, in fact, and I thought the first thing that I thought about when I saw that is, man, it is a lot easier to fit your name in the little box now.
I know. It's easier
Clark
for
is so much
everything.
better than Gladwell.
And people know how to spell it too.
Yes.
Nice. But you know, to recover for your
nobody
gap earlier.
ever knows how to spell Colquitt.
Yeah, that's because it's weird.
Yeah, I know.
So to help you out here with the whole violence thing. Yeah. Violence isn't violence at Festivus. It's just the feats of strength.
That's true.
So it works out.
That's true. That's actually an excellent point. We unfortunately, I could not get anybody to do the feats of strength with me.
I'll take you in an arm wrestling match.
I don't think you want to do that. But anyway, what there would be a hashtag that goes with that, I'm sure. But anyway, I think everybody was afraid to face me in the feats of strength. I think that's really what it was.
That's what we'll go with.
But the feats of strength is always the last thing that happens at Festivus.
That's true.
You know what happens first?
The airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people, and now you're going to hear about it. So we do this every year. It's something that our audience has always really loved. And so what we do is we take the airing of grievances that we've done throughout the past year. Some of them are news related. Some of them are just personal. So since Laura is the lady on set, I think it's only fair. Chivalry dictates that I give her the first airing of grievance, so go ahead. Is that chivalry or just the fact that women really like to complain?
I mean, that's why we invented chivalry, is try to minimize female complaints. So
fair point.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm all about the airing of grievances because this is what I do basically 24/7 to my husband. So the first one for me is the thumbs up emoji. Come on, people. I get it. It's short. You could just push one button to respond to people, but I typed this whole thing to you. A whole sentence. It was grammatically correct, and you respond with, what? A thumbs up emoji.
Okay, so here's my question on this, because I understand, especially when you take a lot of time and thought and put it into a text and somebody just sends you a thumbs up emoji.
Yeah.
Thumbs up emoji, better or worse than someone sending you the letter K?
I think if you were to rank what level of hell these people go to, I think probably the thumbs up emoji is a little bit closer to Satan, but only by a degree.
See, I would be annoyed by both of them, but I would prefer the thumbs up to the K, because at least with the thumbs up, they had to go through a menu, and it shows a little more consideration than just K.
Yeah, I think.
And it's also K is misspelled, which is another thing that grinds my gears.
I think if you put some thought into it and maybe pick a race that isn't yours, then yeah, okay, that works out.
Okay, I think that's fair.
But I probably will still kill him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is the airing of grievances, so yes. That makes sense. And next we'll do one of my airing of grievances. My grievance: too many debates. What the crap? I mean, the media, the Democrats.
they're all basically the same anyway. Here's the thing that ticks me off. Debates are supposed to be a time. Because, frankly, these would be too many debates even if the candidates were somewhat different and could be fleshed out. Debates are usually a time where the candidates go back and forth with one another. Some of it's friendly, some of it's not, and we understand that. Politics is a blood sport. But the main thing that we get out of the debates is some differentiation. They go after one another on their opponent's weaknesses. What ticks me off about these debates is it's not only been long and way too many of them, it's also been a snooze fest.
I mean, they're all just congratulating each other.
Right.
Honestly, they're just patting it. Yes, I agree with you.
Like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders are fighting for the same voting block, and they're not going to attack one another? That doesn't make any sense.
They all just attacking Trump. That's just where it's at right now.
Right, but they're not running against Trump yet.
No, that's completely dumb.
That's what's so dumb about it. Like, and because of that, it makes it really hard to tell the differences on policy issues. Like, I get that there's personal differences. Like, obviously, Pete Buttigieg isn't a black woman. Like, I get that. And that's probably what Democrats care more about anyway.
Arguably, yeah.
But my point is, like, on policy, they don't, like, differentiate or say, they don't explain to another one why this policy is a bad idea and why theirs would be better. And that's why it ticks me off. It feels like it's bad enough when something takes a long time. It's worse when they're wasting my time doing it.
It's more like a negotiation, I think, too, because they aren't, like, really debating policy. They're just one-upping each other. Like, oh, they're going to give you free Medicare? I'll give you free everything.
Yeah, it's like I think the Babylon Bee hit the nail on the head when they said at it was after like the third or fourth Democrat debate. They're like, every candidate on stage crashed into the left side of the stage because they're rushing to the left.
Babylon Bee is always
Babylon Bee is on point. Yes,
every time.
The bee has it going on, and one thing that goes along with this is, why do we have the forum format now? Like, that's the dumbest thing. And here's the thing that I tell people about forums. Those things are tailor-made. They are tailor-made for the media to pick and choose what parts they want you to hear and don't want you to hear, because they make it 7 freaking hours long to where nobody can watch the whole thing. And then, because they know nobody's going to watch it all and it happens during the day, they cherry pick the little bits of the candidates that they like to make them look good. They cherry pick the things from the candidates they don't like to make them look bad. The whole thing is designed so the media has even more control over what you see.
I mean, it's so dumb. It's genius when you think about it like that. Like, that is a genius move. But
on the media's part, yes.
7 hours of socialism? What are we, in China? What is this, public broadcasting?
It really does feel like watching Russia Today. Like
Russia Now.
You ever watch Russia Today? Like,
No.
watch that channel for a couple hours. Like, it's not much different than a Democrat debate.
I'm going to start watching that. Is that like what is that, CNN?
No, that's, they're not run by the Russians. They just have similar political views. But anyway.
Oh, okay.
All right, so your next airing of grievance.
Okay, so this is my pet peeve. I am a librarian's daughter. I have a deep and fond love of books, but why would you dog ear them? Why? It's not hard. Just like you can like tear off of a piece of paper off of a napkin, or you can use the whole napkin if you want. Use that, but why you gotta be hurting the books? When I read the book after you, I don't want to see where you stopped. It tells me you're a quitter. Like, come on, guys, come on.
Are you one of the people that doesn't like marking or highlighting in books either?
No, that's okay. That's different because it shows thought process and thinking. And I like to see what your favorite parts of the book were. Like, that's good. But dog earing it, that's just disrespectful.
You know, I'm starting to notice a trend in your airing of grievances. They all go back to laziness.
Yeah, basically, I don't like laziness.
Like the thumbs up emoji, that's because they were too lazy to come up with a response. And the dog earing, they were too lazy to get up and find a piece of paper.
You know, honestly, I think it's the next one is too. So.
Oh, well, we'll see in a second.
Yeah.
You know what I use as bookmarks?
What?
Playing cards.
See, that makes sense. That works because you're not hurting the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So my next one, stop gaying all the things.
All the gay things.
This was the year of gaying things. I mean, all the shows that I like, Dragon Prince, Shannara Chronicles, like Shannara Chronicles, for example, is based off of a book. There are no gay people in the book. No, Shannara Chronicles is a fantasy.
Okay, I didn't know. I've just thought of Alexander Shannara.
No.
So I didn't know.
No, that's a different Shannara Chronicles. That's his biography of how he went from lowly attorney to king of the Alabama billboard industry. So
I'd read that.
I would too. But no, the Shannara Chronicles is like a high medieval fantasy kind of thing. And the book has not a single gay character, any mention of homosexuality in it at all. The TV show that got adapted from it has like 4 gay characters. So like,
How does that make sense?
no, it doesn't. All the comic book shows have like the gay character that they throw in, most of which, again, from the source material, not gay in the source material, super gay in the TV show.
I hate that. Well, and like Hallmark.
Mhm.
I love Hallmark movies. I get excited about Hallmark Christmas movies. But now they're trying to add the whole gay agenda in there. If there's anything that might make me stop watching Hallmark Christmas movies, it's not their very predictable plot lines, because I stinking love that. It's that they're probably going to add some gay characters in there now. And
I will say that we'll make it less predictable. Not saying that makes it all right, but at least you won't see it coming. It's like, oh, he likes guys.
Yeah,
Didn't
if
see
they
that
play
one
like
coming.
that. Instead, it'll be the crazy busy guy lawyer who falls for the guy in the sweater in the small town. Like, that's going to be how that is now.
Yeah, I actually talked about that earlier this week. But another thing with the gang, all the things, I don't know if you saw, Netflix has a new special where they have gay Jesus.
I did see that.
Literally gay. Now, I want you to think about this, because here's the thing. You know, I'm a free speech guy. You know, I don't think they should be banned or anything like that. They're allowed to make it if they want to, dumb as it may be. They make a movie, and I don't even celebrate Christmas as a religious holiday.
No, yeah.
It's just for me, it's just a time to be with your family. I've explained that before in the past. I'm not going to go into it right now. But
I'm
the
with
point
you
is,
there.
I don't even see it as a religious holiday. But the vast majority of Christians do.
Mhm.
And on Christmas, a major corporation is putting out in a predominantly Christian nation a movie portraying, I mean, to a Christian, God in the flesh as being homosexual, a sin that is against Christianity. Now, I want you to put that on the other foot. During Ramadan, do you think that they would put out a movie, Netflix would be okay with putting out a movie that portrays Muhammad as gay?
I think you would see the smoke for miles if you did that.
Oh, I think that you absolutely would. I mean, look at the Charlie Hebdo in France
yeah.
that was, you know, shot up multiple times by Muslim terrorists.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, even if you take the terrorism aspect out of it, if they did that, Netflix would immediately apologize, take it down. You'd never see it again. Nobody would ever try that again, because the PC police would be on the warpath. I mean, you know, that's true.
I mean, it's entirely accurate. But they would totally, I mean, they're doing it to Christians now, and it's like, but why though?
Nah.
But why? Other than to try to sway the Christians over to that side, which, you know, we're seeing.
Oh, I don't think they're doing that.
Anyway.
I think they're doing it to put a middle finger in their face. Like, I don't think
That's probably true.
I don't think they think they're actually going to change anybody's mind about it.
Yeah.
And I don't
Clearly
think
they
it's
don't want
intended to
Christian
be that.
customers.
No, evidently not. And I mean, I think that's the straw that's going to break the camel's back for a lot of Christians that do subscribe to Netflix. Like
I mean, once I finish The Crown, I'm probably not going to watch Netflix anymore.
Well, anyway, and with this trend, I just want to leave you with this question. How long is it going to be before they do the exact same thing with transvestites? Like, the way that just about every show, every TV series, every movie has at least one gay character now, fast forward 5, maybe 10 years, if that long, it's going to be exactly the same way with trannies. You're going to have at least one tranny character in every single TV show. But
oh, wait, pedophiles too. We'll see the pedophiles.
see, I think pedophiles is coming afterward, so like maybe a little longer. That's on its way.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I think it's a little bit farther down the track right now.
yeah. All right, what's your next one?
Okay, so following this whole thing about lazy people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you know those really cute little, you know, scriptures or inspirational quotes they put on this like deep and inspiring background, like the mountains or snowflakes or whatever.
Yeah, I do. But when you went, okay, you know those cute little, I was 1,000% expecting Baby Yoda to come out of your mouth.
See, okay, I didn't understand the whole Baby Yoda thing until recently because I don't do Star Wars, but like
Right.
they are kind of cute. But
Yeah.
no,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
so these inspirational things. They're so dumb. Like, they're just a cute way to get you to read what you should. Okay. Since when do words not speak for themselves? Since when is our culture so distracted that we have to have cute backgrounds to read something that's meaningful? Like, what's wrong with your brains, people?
It's true though, and people know this if they follow the Tactics Facebook page. I stopped doing just straight commentary because people wouldn't read it. I had to start adding backgrounds and putting, different fonts and whatever to try to catch people's eye. It's just the only way that you can operate now.
I think internet has given us like short attention spans.
Oh, I know that that's true. Like, there's been research on it.
You know, and I think I started messing with this a while back, probably several months ago now. But I got the idea to take the weirdest verses out of context and put them on these backgrounds. Like, I did one that was like, that these something about people vexing you. Oh, that they would just castrate themselves. If you don't know, this is in the Bible. Okay, and I put this on a background, and people liked it. Like, do you read it?
Maybe they just like the pretty background and said, "Oh, Bible verse, I'm gonna like that."
That's basically likely what happened. They probably don't read it. I mean, I honestly don't read it. So
if your attention span is so short that you can't even see a graphic and actually read the Bible verse, like your attention span is way too short.
Yeah, I even put one about whoring for demon goats. Like you really probably should read something first, guys.
My favorite one, it's in one of the Psalms. It's a psalm of like despair and sorrow. It says, "My loins burn with a loathsome disease." That's one of my all-time favorites.
Well, that sounds uncomfortable. But yeah, like, I mean, this is just, it's just, people are beyond me. Like, read something. Just put your phone down and get a book. I don't mean like picture book, because that's clearly where we're heading, guys. We're going back to the dark ages. But go get a novel. Read something good, and don't dog ear it.
You got a lot of rules.
I do.
Laura's really strict.
Uh-huh.
All right. So my other airing of grievance, YouTube. I'm tired of YouTube shadow banning me. Like,
you had that coming.
What the heck, YouTube?
Don't be so offensive.
I am offensive, but that doesn't justify the shadow banning me. To give you an idea of how bad it is, you have to wade through, and I know because I counted, because I don't apparently have enough to do with my life. You have to go through, if you search my name, Caleb Colquitt, 122 videos to find a tactics video.
Huh. What comes up first?
Well, one actually does involve me, but it's not a video that I posted. It's one somebody else posted, which I don't mind. I actually like that video. It paints me in a good light because it's a conversation that I had with a crazy caller a long time ago.
Oh, that's nice.
So I actually do like that that's the first one. But like pretty much every one between that one and video number 123 are just random videos. Some of them from people that have the last name Colquitt, some of them from people that live near Colquitt County. All kinds of different things. And there's a lot of different explanations people have offered, because, and I understand, you get a little bit, you don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist or whatever. So I understand the skepticism, but I've had people say, well, maybe it's just because you're not as popular, your videos don't have as many views. Well, the thing is, I have some videos that actually do pretty well. Like, I have a couple, I know that the one that I have that was the most viewed has a little over 4,600. So, like, I have some that are very popular and get a lot of views, but it's funny that even after waiting through 123 videos, that's not the one that shows up. Like, it's some of the ones with 4 and 5 views that pop up after that one, and it's like 40 more after you see the first one.
Yeah, but that's a growing trend right now. A lot of conservative shows are being shadow banned, and I think their privacy.
Steven Crowder had exactly the same problem when you searched his name.
Exactly, and he's very popular, and they just redid their rules and their policies, so I think a lot of that's about to get worse.
Yeah, I'm afraid that it is, and that's the thing. Like, I would at least understand. Like, I wouldn't agree with it, and I would think that they need to improve their search engine if a lot of these random videos that are popping up just had more views than mine. But most of the videos have less than 100 views.
Yeah,
and
no.
I have several that have more than 100 views.
Yeah.
And so it's not a views thing. A lot of them don't include my whole name. Like, one of them is just a lady with the last name Colquitt. It has like 30 views, and she's just singing into the camera, which, granted, I mean, she's not bad. I don't have anything against her, but
why does she sound like she's somebody in a trailer park that's just playing with her phone camera?
It actually does look like that.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Okay then.
So, like, somehow that gets more than my video that had 1,000 views on Joe Biden's hairy legs. Like, I think that should be pretty close to the top, but no.
Well, I don't know. I don't think anybody wants to hear anything about Joe Biden's hairy legs.
Well, no, but that's the point. I'm making fun of Joe Biden for talking about it. Was that your last one?
That was my last one.
Okay, so I have one more, but I think you're going to like this one. knock it off with the white male privilege thing.
Oh my gosh.
And I say this
Get
as
over
somebody,
yourselves.
I'm so tired of people telling me that I have it easy. And I've had callers tell me this before. I think you may have been there sometimes when that happened.
Oh,
It
yeah.
said because I'm white and I'm a man that I have all this privilege and my life's been super easy and I've always had money available. That's not the truth.
Yeah, no.
And here's another thing too. As a conservative talk show host, I would actually be in much better shape and would have a much bigger platform if I were black or a woman or both. Case in point. And I don't mean to cast stones, but I do have opinions on other talk show hosts. There's one particular talk show host on Sirius XM, David Webb. Guy's phenomenal, absolutely deserves to be where he is. He's better than me. I understand why he has a big national platform like that. There is another host on Sirius XM Patriot who I'm not going to name, but she has a weekend show and she is awful.
Well, yeah, she's a woman, so.
Well, I mean, it's not even that. Like, there are women with talk shows that I enjoy. She ain't one of them. And the only you can tell after listening to her, the only reason that she's there is because she happens to be a black woman. And I'm not saying she's dumb. I'm not saying that she's, doesn't have some value as a talk show host. I'm just saying, like, I'm better than her, and just about every talk show host I've ever heard is better than her. Like, she's pretty bad.
That's pretty rough there.
Yeah, but
I heard some crappy talk show hosts.
Now Candace Owen, she's really good.
Oh, she's fantastic at what she does.
Right. It's nothing against her. Like, she got where she is because she deserves to be there.
Yeah.
But my point is, if you happen to have the right skin color, and that skin color ain't white, because you're not a novelty if you're a white guy.
No.
Or if you're a man and you're running in conservative circles, you're actually at a severe disadvantage.
Honestly, I think, if you're talking about intersectionality and that totem pole there, I really think white males are actually at the bottom, not whatever it is that's actually at the, I don't know. I don't think the internet.
I think the top of the intersectionality pole is a trans, gay, lesbian lizard person.
That makes sense. I really think the white male tops that. I mean, I really do, because
right.
You really can't move or do anything without somebody saying, "Oh, you can't say that, you're a white male." Like, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm white female, and I'm totally privileged because, well, I'm female, so that's cool.
Well, that was all we had for the airing of grievances. So now Festivus moves on, and we have the portion that is one of my all-time favorites, gift giving. So here is your Festivus present. And I want you.
I can't reach.
I know. My studio is not set up for this. But anyway, I would really like for you to open it and read it on air.
This was not even talked about.
No, this was completely unplanned. I took Laura by surprise.
This happens a lot.
I'm like a holiday ninja.
It is. A donation has been made in your name to the Human Fund, Money for People. Yay! I hate people.
That's why I had to give it in your name, because you wouldn't have given one on her.
That's true. Humans suck. What?
No, that's a reference to the Seinfeld episode.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, George hands all those out because he doesn't want to buy presents for people. Anyway, so happy Festivus.
Happy Festivus.
It's a Festivus miracle.
A Festivus for all of us.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break here, and we will be back in just a second with more from me and Laura Gladwell.
And now for a reading from the Social Justice Warrior Bible with Pastor Gregory Post.
Welcome in. I'm Gregory Post, head pastor at the Eternal Living Word Trans-Denominational Community Church and Coffee House in Novato, California. Now it's time for a reading from the SJW Bible. Today's reading will come from Leviticus chapter 10, verses 1 through 10. Now Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took their respective fire pans, and after putting the fire in them, placed incense on it and offered strange fire before the Lord, which he had not commanded them. And the fire came out of the presence of the Lord, which created a wicked cool light show for them to see, and totally got everyone feeling the Spirit's presence. Then Moses said to Aaron, "It is what the Lord spoke, saying, even though I didn't command you to use this strange fire, I totally understand your need to express yourselves in worship and keep yourselves entertained." So Aaron therefore danced and yelled with joy, knowing that his sons were having a good time at worship. Moses called out to Mishael and Ezaphan, and the son of Aaron's uncle Uzziel, and said to them, "Come forward, Carry your relatives away in front of the sanctuary outside of the camp, for they have fainted from being overwhelmed by the power of God's coolness." So they came forward and carried them still in their tunics outside the camp, as Moses had said. Then Moses said to Aaron and his sons Eleazar and Ithamar, "Do not uncover your heads, nor tear your clothes, because God wants us to always be happy, and as long as we're happy, He's happy. Therefore, if worship doesn't give you an overwhelming sense of euphoria, you need to find another congregation, preferably one with a more dynamic pastor and band." So they did according to the word of Moses. And the Lord spoke to Aaron, saying, "Do not drink wine or strong drink, neither you nor your sons with you, when you come into the sanctuary, so that you will be able to drink more once you arrive. It is a perpetual statute throughout your generations. And so as to make a distinction between the holy and the profane, between the unclean and the clean, because when worship stops being fun or feels judgy, then it becomes profane and unclean." Wow, so inspiring. This has been a reading from the SJW Bible. And remember, the only truth that matters is your truth.
And welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us through the break at our big Festivus special. It is a Festivus for the rest of us, and we appreciate you being here with us. And we have Laura Clark, not Glidewell. I say Glidewell. Look, here's the thing that people don't understand. When you've done radio for a while, there's a few things that you have to say so often that it just gets stuck in your brain, and it's almost impossible to undo. Like our phone number, 860-1440.
I even still remember that, and it's been a couple of years since I was on there.
But see, the thing is, like, if you ever change anything, like, if you ever see a talk show host has to change his phone number for some reason, like he's on a different show or a different station or something like that, listen to him. He'll say his old phone number every once in a while because he's just said it 10,000 times. I'm sure if I moved stations, I would mess it up.
I still sometimes, like, forget that my name has changed, and I'll kind of write Glad. But I've been doing that for 26 years, and so
right, yeah,
it's a change.
Same thing. Well, I know because New Year's is coming up. For me, I don't start remembering that it's the new year until about mid-February.
Yep.
I might do a little better with this one because it's 2020, and so that's a little easier to remember than, just some random year. It's a decade year, so it may help, but I don't know.
That's helpful. I just remember today that we are not at the beginning of the decade, not at the beginning of the year, so that's exciting.
Yeah.
That hit me.
Well, I wanted to go ahead and do a segment that I'm sure you're really going to enjoy. Top 5 Christmas movies.
Oh, my favorite. It's right up there with top 5 books.
All right, so do you want to go first? You want to give your top 5?
Yeah, okay. So are we going straight through the list?
Yeah, straight through.
Okay.
And
so
I might jump in and give some commentary on some of them.
I have to pull up my list here. Okay, so my top 5, A Christmas Carol, but the 1938 version.
Oh, so you're going way back.
Yeah, it's truly great. Reginald Reynolds or something like that. He plays Scrooge. It's wonderful. Truly great. My favorite.
Okay.
And then It's a Wonderful Life.
That's number 4?
That's number 2. I went the wrong way.
Oh, yeah, you went the wrong way. No, you spoiled it now. That's all right. Just go down the list the way you were going.
Sorry, guys. Okay, so It's a Wonder. I wrote it wrong on my phone. That's why.
Oh, yeah. It'll get you.
It's a Wonderful Life. That's my next one. And then A Year Without Santa Claus. That old claymation, It has the Miser Brothers.
I actually really hate that one.
You just hate Christmas, so.
That's true.
Yeah. So,
I don't really. It's just compared to the average person, Laura thinks that everyone hates Christmas because she likes Christmas so much that it appears as though everyone else is a Scrooge compared to her.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, where's the lights on your hat? Come on.
Exactly. Like, this isn't Christmassy enough for her.
No, it's not. Where's all the Christmas? But my next one is The Santa Claus, the Tim Allen.
I actually really do like that one.
That was cute.
I love Tim Allen.
I had a better appreciation for that watching it this year as a divorce attorney. So that's cool.
I didn't even think about that angle.
Yeah, it's a whole new level now. I'm like, I can see why that would warrant a custody change. But in Alabama, it would be just, I think about that stuff.
You may be the only person I've ever met that's watching a Christmas movie and you're like doing legal analysis for this.
I do that on Miracle. Was it Miracle on 24th Street?
34th.
34th. Yeah, I don't like that movie. But I do legal analysis too.
It's okay. I don't really. I don't know. It's just I don't think it aged very well, and
No.
I'm a lot older than it, so it never really did anything for me.
Yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah.
And then of course I don't know. I guess the number 5 could really count as my number 1 because I do love it a lot. But anything Hallmark Christmas, anything, they're all the same, and I love them all.
I was about to say you would never be able to tell which one you're watching. It's just, Hallmark is like if the Empire from Star Wars made movies. Like it would all be the same. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference one of the. It's kind of like movie communism.
Yeah, but I love it. It's the kind of communism that I will eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Well, I know that a lot of people, especially Christians, really like them because they're wholesome and you don't have to worry about. They're not really my cup of tea, but I get that.
They are.
And I was kind of expecting that.
And they're wonderfully sappy. Like I like a good sappy movie.
See, I don't. I
can't stand
you're a
man.
Yes.
I can't help it. It's like ingrained in me.
See, they should let me do at least one Hallmark movie.
I don't think so.
It would be really different than the other ones.
The elves would be blowing up.
there would be elves, but they would be like Tolkien elves. Get Liv Tyler in there.
Dude, she's really awful, right?
I love Liv Tyler as Arwen.
Oh gosh.
Anyway. All right. So that's your top 5.
That's my 5.
You ready for mine?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to do it in correct order.
I'm kind of surprised that you have any.
Again, I don't know why Laura assumes that I hate Christmas. I never have understood that.
All I know is that I had to beg Jay to get the Christmas music going.
That's because I have a rule about not playing Christmas music before December.
That is just awful. You screwed.
December is when Christmas celebration can start.
That's
yeah. Anyway, Laura's, weird Christmas fetish aside. Number 5. Number 5, Elf.
Yeah, that's great. I like that movie.
Yeah, Elf is really good.
That's hilarious.
It's like the only Will Ferrell movie I actually like.
Yeah, because he's terrible in it.
He's
good in The Office.
Well, I'll say this. I like Will Ferrell's Saturday Night Live stuff.
Yeah.
Like him as Alex Trebek in the fancy meeting you here, Trebek. I'd like to ask all of our what is it? I would like to ask all of our contestants to refrain from using ethnic slurs. Anyway, so yeah, I love him in his Saturday Night Live stuff, but he's just I don't like any of his actual movies with the exception of Elf. I love Elf.
That was a good one.
Yeah, number 4, and we are going claymation for this one.
Oh, good. Yeah.
The Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer claymation.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a better, fuller explanation of the Rudolph story.
It was, and it's kind of the standard bearer. I mean, you think about it, every single year, they come out with new Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer merchandise. That movie's 50 years old,
I mean, they're
and it's
fantastic.
still making money off the merch.
It speaks to all of us, because in a way, don't we all have red noses?
Well, I do, but that's just because of rosacea.
Yeah, that's true.
So, don't know that I'm a great comparison.
This is not a good way to do this.
Right. Number 3, A Christmas Carol.
Awesome.
The 1984 version.
Really?
George C. Scott.
It's a good one.
I think it's the best, personally. That's just me.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody has their own favorite version.
I have to say, though, even though that's my favorite version, I do really like the Muppet Christmas Carol.
Okay, because that one, I mean, that's a close second for me. I love the Muppet version.
The Muppet version's actually pretty good. Like, it's less complicated. A lot of stuff gets left out because they throw in so much humor, and that's fine. But Charles Dickens, I think the best version of his story is the 1984 George C. Scott version. It's just a great rendition. The acting is great. The cinematography is actually really good, which you wouldn't expect from a movie from the 80s, but it is.
That's got to be better than the one from the 30s. Which actually, that was pretty good. I mean, they did a good job for the 30s.
I was about to say, it's not really their fault. They didn't have a lot to work with.
Yeah, that's true.
Number 2, and this is going to be one that surprises a lot of people, but I don't care. It's still my second favorite. It's Christmas Time Again, Charlie Brown. Not the original.
Really? Not the original?
Not the original. I like the sequel.
When you started that sentence, I thought you were going to go with Die Hard.
No, here's the thing. I thought about putting Die Hard on there. It's like, Die Hard's not really a Christmas movie, because I thought about Home Alone as well.
I think the Council of Nicaea said that it was a Christmas movie. I think I read that on the Babylon Bee.
It wouldn't surprise me if Babylon Bee put that up there.
They did actually.
Did they really?
Yeah.
You're not just making stuff up?
I'm not. That's a Babylon Bee story. The
Yeah,
Council
I
of
believe it.
Nicaea voted that.
I believe it. I would totally see them doing that. All right, but the thing that I like about It's Christmas Time Again, Charlie Brown, like the first one is great, but it's a little clunky. The humor's not quite as spot on. It's Christmas Time Again just nails it. It's got some of the most quotable lines of any Christmas movie, and it's a real tragedy that more people don't know it because it's so funny.
I have to admit that I've never heard of it.
We'll have to watch it sometime. It's only 30 minutes long, and I've got it on Blu-ray.
I'm down.
But yeah, it's one of the best scenes in the entire thing is it's when Sally is trying to get ready for this play that she's going to be, and she's an angel, but she only has one line in the whole Christmas play. So she's supposed to come out and say hark. And so like for a week beforehand, you see her roaming around the house yelling hark. And then she finally gets on stage. It's the big moment. She walks out and she goes, hockey stick. And then she's back. She's like, how did I mess? I only had one line. Luke hates me. The apostles hate me. It's just a great scene. One of my favorite Christmas movies of all time.
That's good.
And number one, The Grinch That Stole Christmas, the Jim Carrey version.
That is so creepy to me. I don't think I've ever liked a Jim Carrey movie. He's just weird.
I do
and
like.
I'm all about weird.
I like several Jim Carrey movies. I don't think that all of his stuff is brilliant. Yes Man's really good. Ace Ventura is pretty funny.
Okay, I think I like that more than I like the Grinch movie though.
But I love. See, to me, the Grinch movie is the best thing he ever did. I love the Grinch movie. I quote
so
that
weird.
thing, especially like me and my sister. We quote that all the time. Dad, move it. Or when I like freak out at something like, whew, almost lost my cool back there. You know.
I will say it's like probably the most realistic one for adults.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's the thing. I relate to the Grinch in a lot of ways.
I can see that. And sometimes I do too. Like, you know, when he's like trying on outfits, he's like, I have nothing to wear. And I'm like, that's me every day.
See, I don't relate to that as much as just him not liking people and wanting to live alone.
Honestly, I think the older I get, the more I understand his desire to live alone with his dog. Like,
Yeah.
I get that.
To me, the worst part of the movie is when he wusses out and brings all the presents back.
I mean, stand your ground, man. Like, go stand. You
Right.
can make a stand.
That's all I'm saying. Like, have some conviction, brother.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Forget those tiny children.
All right. Well, I think that that's all that we've got. Is our phone ringing?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Huh.
That's weird.
Yeah, I'll have to answer that. Who could be on the phone?
No idea.
It's Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh my goodness, I love this guy.
Governor, are you there?
Ja, Caleb, it's me, the governor.
How did you even get this number?
I got it from Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris has my number.
No, he just tells the phone who he wants to talk to, and the phone gives him the number.
Well, well, that makes sense. So, Governor, why are you calling?
Chuck and I were watching your show, and I noticed you and Loris List both didn't have my all-time holiday smash classic, Jingle All the Way.
Look, Governor, I like the movie, but I don't know that it's top 5 material.
You're not top 5 material.
All right.
It's the best holiday movie ever made. Now available on Amazon Prime and Blu-ray.
Mr. Schwarzenegger, that movie is over 20 years old.
You are over 20 years old.
Yeah? Well, you got me there.
Yeah, I won that one.
Congratulations. You did.
Why would you pick those wussy movies over mine?
Well, come on. I mean, Governor, Jingle All the Way is a fun movie, but A Christmas Carol? I mean, that's a beloved classic.
No, this movie is stupid.
Wait, it's stupid?
Ja, the Scrooge. He goes to the Christmas past and the Christmas future without killing a single killer robot. It makes no sense. What's the point?
What? What about the Peanuts Christmas movie? You like that one, right?
This Charlie Brown is a pansy. He can't make a manly movie. He can't even kick a Flossenblusen.
Wait, Flossenblusen? What's a Flossenblusen?
That's German for football.
Oh, okay. Now it makes sense. Got you. So, can I ask you some political questions since you're already on the line?
Ja, I will answer these questions better than Sinbad ever could.
All right. So, first question. The House has actually impeached President Trump earlier today. What's your take on that?
Look, Caleb, we cannot let a great leader like President Trump jingle only half the way. We have to let him jingle all the way.
Well, I guess that's one way to put it.
Ja, if you could be impeached for hilarity and heartwarmingness, Jingle All the Way would be impeached unanimously by Congress and everyone else.
I don't know that you can...
Caleb, it would be so easy to impeach it. Even Adam Schiff couldn't screw it up.
All right, I'd like to ask you some culture war questions now.
Good, because I will win the culture wars with my army of cyborgs from the future.
Cyborgs from the future?
Yes, that will be how we defeat the social justice warrior army.
So you'll be fighting the social justice warriors with cyborgs?
Yes, and when they emerge from their parents' basements with their neck beards and their vagina hats, my cyborg army will blast them away by exploiting their one weakness.
Their one weakness? What's their one weakness?
Job applications.
All right, sir. I wanted to ask you about your take on the trans movement.
I'm for the trans people.
Really? You're for the trans people?
Ja, if the people start transforming into robots now, we can stop the future robots from coming back and destroying us.
That's not actually what I meant. I meant people transitioning from men to women and from women to men.
Oh, Caleb, I am for that too.
Really? But I didn't expect that. You're such a macho man. I thought you would be against it.
No, Caleb, that is why I'm for it. Maybe then the Democrats will transition from useless girly men into real men and vote Republican.
Flawless logic, sir.
Thank you.
So, you're a more moderate Republican. What would you say is your political philosophy if you could sum that up for us?
My philosophy is very simple. If you give a man a jingle, he'll jingle for a day, but if you teach that man to jingle, he'll jingle all the way.
All right, thank you, former Governor of California, Arnold Schwarzenegger, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you. Merry Christmas. Thank you.
All right, Governor, we'll talk to you later.
All right, thanks, Governor Schwarzenegger. Always a pleasure to have you on the show, even if it's not planned and you're uninvited. But all right, Laura.
I hate that he didn't like my movie picks. It's not cool.
You know, he didn't like mine either. I think he's biased.
Well, everybody's biased about something.
True. So I was going to do this because I thought our audience would really appreciate this. Our stories of the year, top 5 stories of the year, because of course 2019 is about to close out. I think it's important to take a look at the year in review. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you actually go first, but before you give your first pick, I'm going to give honorable mention.
Ah, yes.
Honorable mention because it didn't wind up being huge in the news, even though it was really important. It just didn't get a lot of news coverage. The death of al-Baghdadi.
That was wonderful. Like, how did that
America.
not make huge news?
Well, there was just so much other
big
stuff going
deal.
on.
Well, I guess if you count like the Washington Post obituary, that was kind of big.
Yeah, I mean, like the media did talk about it, but I think part of it happens to be like, if you ask me, it's just as big as Osama bin Laden being killed. But there's 2 reasons why it didn't become as big a news story. First of all, al-Baghdadi has committed a lot of really terrible terrorist attacks and been responsible for orchestrating them, but they all happened over there.
That's true. It's
Like
like 9/11.
Right. The difference with Osama bin Laden is 9/11, so that story hit home for a lot more people in a more personal way.
Yeah.
And I think that that's one thing that made a really big difference. The second thing is the media really didn't want to give Trump credit for it.
Yeah, that's true.
And
they were dancing all around that.
Right. Like when Obama did it, like they were all over that because they wanted to give, Obama a boost, especially considering his election was coming up.
Oh, yeah.
And so with President Trump, I think they kind of intentionally downplayed it. I don't know if they actually sat down and made a decision, let's downplay it to hurt Trump. It was more like the excitement wasn't there.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. And I think, I think that's probably the most we have ever seen our military praised.
Mm-hmm.
Probably because they wanted to so much subvert it from Trump that they kind of put it on the military. So that was nice.
Which
But
here's the thing, to a
right.
degree, I don't disagree with that. I just wish that they did it consistently.
No, they don't.
Because the way the media tried to portray the death of Osama bin Laden, like they almost wanted to paint a picture of Obama rappelling down the side of a building with an AK-47 in hand to take him out himself.
Yeah. And I think,
Anyway.
because next year is 2020 and it's election year. So they're kind of like, let's not help them out anymore.
Yeah. All right. So what's your number 5?
Okay. So I'm going to do it the right order this time. All right. So I think along those lines, Trump's Thanksgiving trick. Around the same time, And he sends the motorcade to the golf course. So of course, the media is like, oh my goodness, he's going golfing at Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
What a horrible president.
Mhm.
When in truth, he's on an airplane going to Afghanistan to feed Thanksgiving dinner to a bunch of military people like that. You know what?
Yeah.
That's good. That's really good. That was hilarious because I think he knows what the media does, and he kind of played into that, and he just pulled it right over him. It was great.
Well, now I'll say this about Trump. There's a lot of things that I like about him, a lot of things I dislike about him. But one thing that has to be one of the best things about Trump is the guy knows how to play the media like a fiddle. Like he does it better than any politician, right or left, I've ever seen.
It's probably why they hate him so much, but it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Probably some
amusing
truth
to
to
us.
that, yeah. All right. So my number 5, media bias.
Is that like the whole year or?
Well, yes, because there were several smaller stories that occurred throughout the year that kind of showed this. And the biggest ones that I could think of were the 2 shootings in El Paso and Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah.
Because not only did they get the story wrong, it was very obvious that they were trying to skew it in a direction that it wound up not going. Yeah. Like, for example, with the El Paso shooting, they tried to paint him as some kind of white supremacist that hated Mexicans and didn't want them to be in the country, which, by the way, was true. But they tried to couple that with, and he was a big Trump supporter. And then they left out the part that the reason that he didn't want people immigrating to the United States was because he was an environmental terrorist and was afraid that overpopulation was going to lead to like starvation and the environment being destroyed and global warming. So like they left that part out. And the fact that he hated Trump. Like they leave certain details out to try to craft a narrative to their liking. And then when it comes out, it's very obvious that they picked and choose.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen that all year.
And
but definitely with that story.
Dayton, Ohio was kind of the same thing. They left out certain details that were less favorable to them. And then another one that I think really kind of helped people show and even convince some people that were on the fence about the media that they really do have it in for somebody and have it in for one particular side was the Covington kids.
Oh my goodness. Like that was crazy. Especially when you juxtapose it to the whole Greta Thunberg thing. If you criticize her, then
you're a monster.
Yeah. But if you criticize the Covington kid, you're a hero.
Well, and that's the thing. They literally, the difference with that story and the reason I think that one was so significant is because that is a story they literally made out of whole cloth.
Yeah.
Like if you watch any of the video in context, which I did, I watched like the entire 1.5-hour video. It completely changes the narrative to the exact opposite of what the media was saying. And that's what I think was so important is that to anybody that was willing to do like a millisecond worth of research, you could tell that the media saw a story and a narrative that they liked, ran with it, and didn't do any fact checking. They specifically took things out of context. They tried to pull the wool over your eyes. And this is the story that I think really showcased that better than any other one all year.
I agree with that. I mean, it was like they took 2 seconds out of a video and it's like, oh, this is terrible. It was ridiculous. It was like completely flip-flopped. I mean, yeah, that was a good showcase of it all.
Yeah. All right. So what's your number 4?
Okay. So this is very close to my heart because I care a lot about the subject. Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself.
I'm going to take issue with that statement.
You feel like he did kill himself?
Yeah.
Are you just saying that so Clinton doesn't come here and kill you?
No, I would never say that, and I don't know why you would even suggest that. Hillary Clinton's a wonderful human being and would never hurt anyone.
Guys.
In fact, I think she should be president.
Do you feel suicidal right now?
Not at all. And if anybody does, say that Caleb committed suicide, please investigate, because I would never do that.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
I think that's important. We have that on air.
I don't even own cotton sheets. And
that should be said now.
Hey, you have a Christmas tree in the background right behind you there, right?
I do, yeah.
Yes. You know how many of those ornaments hung themselves?
None of them.
None of them.
Much like Jeffrey Epstein.
Much like Jeffrey Epstein.
That was just the craziest thing. I think probably my favorite thing about that whole story is that, it probably would have not gotten half as much attention as it did, except for the fact that the internet took it and ran. I mean, the memes have been great.
Yeah, the biggest social media stories of the year have definitely been Epstein, Baby Yoda, and Screaming Lady and the Cat.
Yeah, I mean, these have been the memes, and I think like a lot of our media is controlled by memes, and so like the year before, I think was Brad's wife.
Oh yes, Brad's wife.
And then before that was Harambe.
Rest in peace, Harambe.
So, I mean, I think our biggest stories are things that happen because of memes.
It's interesting. I think that does have a much bigger impact on the media that people believe. I don't know if you knew this, but Pokemon Sword and Shield recently came out.
No.
And of course, I got it the day it came out.
That makes sense, yeah.
And there was actually, it didn't happen, unfortunately, because I would have loved this. There was a petition to have a Harambe Pokemon. And
Why wouldn't they?
He was going to be fighting to start out with. He was just a big gorilla. And then his second form that he evolved into was fighting ghost type, which would have been hilarious.
I just need that to happen.
I wish it would have. There was a petition that got like more than, I think it was over 2 million signatures.
I mean, I think the Epstein story, much like that, I mean, it's proof that memes work, because I don't think it would have been investigated as much had it not been for the memes.
Well, see, that's the thing. That's really something that has changed a lot in our society, is that there was a time where to drive a to drive a narrative home, you needed to have the media at least kind of on your side, at least interested. Now, really doesn't matter. Like, if enough people put out memes or posts or whatever about something and it keeps and holds the public interest, it can kind of steer the media a little bit, which, I think is actually a positive thing.
It is, because I think a lot of the tricks that we're seeing the media play right now with media bias and all of that, it's not working. That's what's interesting, is that it's not working. The internet is largely controlling. Facebook is largely controlling. People are able to talk about these issues. We've seen that with impeachment stuff. It's like, the media is pushing this narrative about, oh, it's terrible, and they're showing you bits and pieces that go favorably for these hearings.
Right.
But when you look at the polling, everybody's like, well, this is full of bull,
Well, see, and that I think is probably the most important thing. This is why we cannot lose the social media fight, because we're finally getting to the point to where the media can't just have their way and do whatever they want to. And if YouTube and Facebook and Twitch is another thing. Although,
is that the video game thing?
Yeah, but I'm on there. Like, we're broadcasting on there.
Oh, wow.
So they do non-video game streams too. But Twitter and everything else.
Gaming nerds.
Yes. Glad to have you with us. But if we lose that ground, if we lose that fight, then we'll be back where we were 20 years ago, where if the media doesn't like a story, they'll just sink it.
Yeah, it's kind of great. I mean, the public is finally back in control of the media in several ways, and they're pushing back. But I mean,
there's definitely some room for improvement. But that's the reason that this whole censorship and trying to silence conservative voices is so important, that we win that fight. Now, not my number 4, the Sri Lanka church bombing.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that the reason it's so significant is, even though it was something that was afar off, and typically with Americans, especially things that don't happen in the U.S., it's almost like they don't happen. This one really drew some interest to the struggle that's been going on over there.
Yeah.
Which people had been kind of asleep to beforehand. And another thing that it did, it was the biggest one that I can remember of a church being attacked, that people actually paid attention to it, because it's a shame that it's this way, but you know this as well as I do. To be honest, we've gotten to a point to where church attacks are so common, they really don't register a blip on the radar anymore.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I really would. And especially, I think part of that probably is because they're churches.
Mm-hmm.
If it were something else, it wouldn't be as ignored. But I think, Christian persecution is being largely ignored. So that's probably a huge part of it.
I think that is part of it. So what's your number 3?
Oh, I'm telling you, I got to keep it. So one of my favorite things this year was storming Area 51. Because, I followed this. I was excited about it.
We talk about memes driving something. Yeah.
I love it when people do this stuff. But yeah, so I'm following this on Facebook. I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to happen. This is going to be great. Of course, I was just ready to watch people be stupid.
I was about to say, I knew you weren't you just wanted to be sitting on the sidelines with like a bucket of popcorn.
Basically, yeah, that's exactly how I felt about it. So, the day comes and it's like, what, 2 people? It was like, it's the dumbest thing ever.
See, now
that's great.
See, now that's the inverse of the social media thing, is that a whole lot of people that are activists behind the keyboard, when it comes to actually doing something, they're like, no.
It was great. I mean, I'm just like,
Seinfeld's on.
We could have found out the truth about aliens, but you know what? You all didn't want to get off your couch.
I remember when Chuck Norris actually tweeted out that he was going to join. I was like, well, we don't even need anybody else.
That was
Like,
the best of
Yeah.
all of it. I just love the involvement with the celebrities there.
it was pretty funny. That's like one of the few things celebrities did that I actually thought was productive.
Right?
Anyway, all right. So my number 3 also involves activism in a different way. The Hong Kong protesters and why am I blanking on this? Venezuela protesters.
That's good.
Because it amazes me that, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago was the year of the protester, and the protesters were Time Magazine's Person of the Year and all this other stuff. They were protesting minor things compared to what these people are.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You're looking at major injustice in Hong Kong.
I mean,
major.
Yeah, major injustice in Hong Kong, very serious threats at creating a massive surveillance state where free speech is not only not allowed, it's monitored 24/7. The social program where you basically get social points and you're not allowed to do certain things in society, like, if you're anti-government, you just don't get to buy those tickets to a concert, or you don't get to ride the subway, you have to walk. Like things like that. Them trying to control an entire society through social engineering, and people standing up and saying, no, we're human beings. This is not how you treat people.
Yeah.
To me, that was the big thing and of course, Venezuela too. Like, people are literally starving because of socialism over there, and they're saying, no, this isn't right. We should be able to control our government.
That wasn't reported on by the media hardly at all. Probably because a lot of the media is trying to craft this narrative of, hey, socialism is good. But we're seeing two countries where it's terrible.
Also, too, because an awful lot of the people on stage at the Democrat debates were big fans of Venezuela back in the day.
Horrible place. And probably one of my favorite things about the whole Hong Kong story and the Hong Kong protesters is that they were waving the American flag, singing our national anthem, and praising Trump. Of course, the media is not going to pick up on this. I mean, that's like in the same week as the whole al-Baghdadi thing and the Trump trick in the media. It's a great week.
That created the greatest internet clip maybe of all time.
Yeah.
And I couldn't play it on the air because there's a word that I don't allow on my show in there, but it's a Chinese guy that they're interviewing. He says, Why do you like President Trump? Because Trump don't trust China. China is a-hole. I lost it when I saw that.
You just tell it like it is. He knows what's up.
That guy needs his own talk show. I would listen to that guy.
I'd watch.
All right. So what's your number 2?
So, okay, recently, the Babylon Bee put out an article saying that the Democrats were pushing impeachment so that Trump would be elected, right? Or basically ensuring that he would be elected. And the White House thought it was funny. It was either like Trump or it was some staffer at the White House. I can't remember which, but somebody retweeted the story. And Snopes writes a letter to the White House like, oh, you're in trouble now. You're pushing fake news. And it's like, this is the second time that Babylon Bee has, or that the Snopes has fact-checked the Babylon Bee, a Christian satire.
Not true. They have fact-checked Babylon Bee now at least 7 times.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, will they ever learn? Nobody takes the Babylon Bee seriously, though their titles do actually become dangerously close to on point. But
see, that's the thing that interests me about the Babylon Bee. Like, their satire, like, I have to look at some of the headlines. I'm like, is that satire or is that real? And I have to look at it. I mean, some of them are eerily close to true.
I don't know if that's commentary on the Babylon Bee or if that's commentary on our times.
I think it's commentary on our times. But
it's so bad it could be satire.
But that's the thing that's so funny. And what I really liked is, I don't know if you knew this part of it, but did you know that Snopes actually did a second article after that, basically trying to explain why they fact-checked the Babylon Bee?
No.
Yes, and
there's no explaining that.
They did a study.
Cute.
And I'll tell you why the study is bullcrap. They did a study that suggested that people couldn't tell the difference between the Babylon Bee and a real news site, and they couldn't tell the difference in their headlines and real headlines.
Cute.
Here's the kicker, though. When they handed them the headlines, they took out all the parts that made it look like satire. And so they just took some of the most realistic looking headlines and took out the parts of the story that made it clear it was satire and said, can you tell the difference in this and a real news story? And the average person couldn't. Well, duh.
You know, I sometimes
like,
have
you can recut an episode of Friends and make it look like a thriller,
Yeah.
I mean,
They did that to the Office before, made it
Yeah.
look like My Cousin Rachel. But I too
Right.
struggle with stuff like that. I mean, I struggle with telling whether Snopes is relevant or completely irrelevant, and I lean towards completely irrelevant. I think I'm on point.
Well, I mean, I think the Snopes story is kind of an example of that. But my number 2 is the deep state.
Oh, the deep state.
And
why is that a good thing now?
Well,
Like,
it's
the
not.
Democrats. The Democrats are now pushing that as a good thing.
I know it's not. It's ridiculous. But here's the thing: I was somebody that, especially when it was early in Trump's presidency, it's not that I didn't believe that there were entrenched bureaucrats, because of course everyone believes that. But I didn't think there was a concerted, organized effort within these different departments to try to hinder Trump's presidency. And granted, it never reached the level that some of the Alex Joneses of the world claimed that it did.
Yeah.
But it's surprisingly organized, and it does exist.
It's crazy.
And what's really just absolutely astounding about this is, especially in the State Department, you can tell based on some of their testimony, some of the things that they put out there, and things we've actually been able to gain from the attempted impeachment inquiry, that there are people, and this was the most telling thing to me out of the entire testimony, not the stuff we learned about Trump and his intentions, but rather that their attitude is Trump needed to be stopped, and we made an effort to stop him because he was not following State Department protocol. And I'm sitting there like, he's the executive. He's in charge of the State Department. His protocol is your protocol.
I mean, it's reason 5,000 that agencies are, dangerous things. I think people don't talk about that enough because you're just like, oh, it's an agency. This is what they do. They're not supposed to exist at all, people. That's not how this works.
Well, I don't have a problem with agencies. But when you have an agency with people inside them that are specifically set up to subvert the results of an election, then it becomes really dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
Because then the government is basically on autopilot, and nothing that the American people can do will change that. And that is terrifying.
I'm actually legitimately afraid of what's going to happen in 2020. I think because, whereas before they're saying like the popular vote was won by Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump on the electoral. So I think probably what's going to happen here is that Donald Trump might actually win both. And it'd still go to the Democratic candidate.
Oh, they've already set that up. They've been laying the groundwork for weeks now, saying, I mean, Adam Schiff the other day just said that basically putting off the impeachment inquiry is saying, why don't we just let him steal another election? Which, A, your evidence didn't even show that he stole the first one.
Oh my gosh.
And B, and this was the really funny part about Schiff saying that, neither of the charges that they brought against him for impeachment had anything to do with the 2016 election.
Neither of those charges are even real.
No.
That's my thing, is that it's not a real crime. Listen, I can tell you this as a certified lawyer.
Well, the first one is.
It's not a thing.
Now, the second one, obstruction of Congress, definitely is.
Yeah.
Courts have ruled on that many, many times.
No, and the second one is, but it's not even what he.
But abuse of power
did.
itself is not a crime. It's the specific abuse of power that is a crime, and they haven't yet designated what that is.
No, because they can't find it.
Well, yeah. So which, I guess you're up to number 1, right?
I'm on number 1, my top story of the year.
Yeah.
And I know that I have less of a stake and investment in this than you do.
Sure.
But I feel very strongly about it because, well, if you live in Alabama for any length of time, you probably would too. But Auburn kicked Alabama's butt in the Iron Bowl this year, and that's
War
number
Eagle?
1.
War Eagle?
That was a great shit. That was a great game.
That was an excellent game.
I mean, on my toes.
I wanted to kill myself most of it, but it was an excellent game.
Look, I've been wearing a.
Wait, I take that back, and I hope Hillary Clinton didn't hear that last line. I didn't.
He is not
I didn't
suicidal.
think about. And it's not football season anymore, so you can't use that excuse. I'm safe for 9 more months.
Maybe. I had I've been wearing a 30-day event monitor for heart monitoring, and anyway, just normal cardiac stuff. But
right,
wearing it during the game, I'm like, oh, they're gonna call me any minute. Like, what, ma'am? You need to calm down. Like, I don't know what you're doing right now, but you need to stop that.
That would not surprise me. But yeah, a great story. I have no problem with it being your top story. I'm kind of surprised it was, just because I know you're a Tennessee girl.
I was, but then they were really sucky this year, so I kind of paid more attention to Auburn this season.
Yeah. I understand that. I mean, there's years where Auburn's definitely been not good. I mean, we all remember 2015, which we just kind of pretend didn't happen. But anyway, all right. So my number 1 story of the year, and I know that you're going to really like this one too. 9 states go after abortion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
To me, that is
Huge
the number 1 story of the year.
And I want to show the audience a graphic here. This is put out by the New York Times. This is a graphic, and the chart shows you at what point in pregnancy abortion is banned. Way up there at the top, number 1, from day 1 of pregnancy, Alabama.
I mean, we're killing it.
Mhm.
We're killing it with our laws.
Proud to be from my state. And I know you've got Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Ohio all in order right after that. But Alabama still leading the charge, still number 1.
I mean, and wait till all of them get sued for these laws. I think that's going to build up a really good case for the Supreme Court. Now, do I think it will go far enough? No. I think these laws are not the way to go. But I
Sure.
think when you build them up, they're actually going to be you're going to see a really good case come out of this.
Yeah, well, one thing that I think was so important about this one is that I really do believe, because this happened very early in the year, I really do believe that New York's abortion law that's basically unrestricted anytime you want to for any excuse that you can think of, like you could literally tell your doctor, I don't think I can afford this baby. Okay, abortion.
That's a problem.
And I think that really made a lot of Christians that had kind of been on the sidelines, kind of sleepwalking through it, not really paying attention, kind of looked at it as a lost cause. They're like, oh, these people are serious and they really do want abortion on demand. And it caused a lot of them to wake up and say, no, we have to do something about this.
Yeah.
I think that was it's one of the very few legitimately grassroots movements that I've seen in the country in a long time.
Yeah, and that timing was perfect when it
Mhm.
lined up with how Alabama's law got passed.
Right.
So that was pretty effective.
And another thing too, and this is interesting, and this is partly those laws and partly because abortion is getting less popular. Millennials and Gen Zers are the most pro-life generation since the greatest generation, which I'm very proud of.
Yeah, I mean, that's not talked about enough. It really isn't. You hear more the minority view. But yeah, for the most part, millennials and Gen Z, very pro-life. I think you're seeing a great trend. I think, as much of a fight as we can put into it, it's only going to continue.
And sort of a result of that fight, because of course the laws are a result too, but even more important than the laws are the actual actions. Did you know, I read a story the other day that in the past couple of years, 1/3 of America's abortion clinics have shut down?
No, it's wonderful.
There are abortion clinics shutting down left and right. I mean, there's a good chance that the new Planned Parenthood plan to open up in Birmingham is not going to be able to do that because of the Alabama law, and so they're looking into whether or not it'll actually open on schedule or not because of that thing. And so, I mean, this is just, it gives me a lot of hope.
That's a good thing. Yeah, I've got some friends in the pro-life fight that have been doing what they can to make sure the Birmingham one doesn't open up. So that's I think that helps a lot. Like I said, I'm still not a fan of the Alabama law. It's not because I'm against, pro-life
understand.
laws. I just think it's really crappy. But anyway, that's a whole different thing. But I think, I think it's showing a good positive trend. I think if nothing else, we're seeing that largely publicly, the movement is towards pro-life.
Mm-hmm.
Despite what you see in the media.
All right, so what we're going to do is Laura and I are going to take a quick break. We will be back in just a minute, and we're going to do a really fun segment, because I know that a lot of people probably aren't aware of this, but the Democrat National Committee has put out a Christmas album.
It's truly horrible.
So we're going to be putting that out in just a second. So we'll be right back.
Hey, where you going? Champ? Slugger? Hey, cowboy. Where you going? Where you going?
I'm going out!
All right, here we are. So you guys remember last year, one of the things I talked about in a segment called Straw Wars is how the liberals, despite no scientific evidence or backing whatsoever, believe that somehow they are saving the sea life by banning plastic straws. In response to this, Mellow Mushroom has started giving out paper straws as opposed to plastic straws. So what we're going to do is we're going to see how effective the paper straws are with the most difficult drink to drink, a milkshake. Let's see how this stands up. All right, so first of all, I got about 2 sips out of that, and the paper stuck to my lips. This thing does not work too well. Boy, it'd take you 2 hours to drink this with us.
Well, see, I'm using plastic.
That's John from Millbrook, by the way. He's
I
the
don't
one
care.
driving.
I think they use plastic because that's the best thing to use.
This thing sucks. Well, actually, it doesn't suck. If it sucked, I'd be fine with it, but it doesn't. This milkshake will melt before I finish this. All right. Experiment over. It's biodegradable. All right. We're going to fix this now. There we go. Good old petroleum-based plastic straws. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Oh, that's so much better.
I got a question about this.
Oh yeah?
With the paper, aren't they concerned about the trees, having to cut down the trees to make the straws too? Is that not a...
Well, that's one of the points that I made. It doesn't matter what you make the straw out of. You're expending some kind of resource.
Well, yeah, because we all live here.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't matter what you make any product out of. You're expending some kind of resource. Mm-hmm. And that's true of straws or anything else. Well, I tell you this. Just based on this little experiment, I know that I saw that Disney is planning to go completely paper straw by 2020 on all their cruise lines and all of their amusement parks. I contend that Disney World is not the happiest place on earth if I can't drink a Dead Blame milkshake while I'm there.
But I will, to their defense, say one thing.
Oh?
You can take a pocket knife in. So help me.
That's something.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, so even though this went about the way I expected it to, paper straw experiment failed miserably. I imagine if I had left it in there much longer, it would have dissolved. I had a buddy the other day that went to a place that used paper straws. He said he had to order 6 different straws throughout the course of his meal because they kept dissolving on him. Which I'm sitting there thinking, you can't tell me that using one plastic straw is worse for the environment than 6 paper straws. I mean, that's just common sense. Anyway, all right, thanks, guys. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my milkshake.
And welcome back, everybody, to our big Festivus special. We're here with Laura Clark, and as promised before the break, we're going to get into the Democrats' new Christmas album.
Oh, my goodness.
I know you're excited because I know how much you love Christmas music.
I love Christmas music, but this one's pretty crappy.
You don't like this album?
It reminds me of modern Christian music.
Ooh, that is bad. Well, I think we do need to go ahead and let people know about it because, people might want to buy it for their liberal uncle or something.
We'll give them a fair shot.
And you know that you have to sing the song titles like to the tune of the song that they are.
I mean, makes sense.
You were probably going to do that without me telling you to.
Absolutely.
Honestly.
I'm bringing this on, guys.
All right. So, Joe Biden, he's going to be first since he's the front runner.
Yeah.
Joe Biden. There's no place like Ukraine for the holidays.
That's why he sent his son there. Oh.
Yeah, that's why he's there. You want to read the next one?
Yeah. So Hillary Clinton put out a new song, and it's okay, but it's menopause is coming to town.
Now, one of my favorites.
Uh-huh.
Bob Francis O'Rourke.
Yeah.
Surfer boy Bob Francis.
Of course.
He is the most Hispanic Irishman you will ever meet.
Yes, he is.
Which is why he's doing one of our Spanish selections.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. It's, police take their guns. Police take their guns. Who else do we have on here?
Oh, Tulsi Gabbard's on there. Now, she's not talked about very much.
Which is a shame because she's one of the only Democrats I actually have, a tiny sliver of respect for.
Yeah, and she actually has a pretty good voice on this album.
Mm-hmm.
Her and her selection, it's called It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like They're Screwing Me Out of It Every Debate.
Well, at least she's honest.
I mean, it's technically correct.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, they've there was one like recently where they actually specifically
kept a poll out and didn't consider it just to keep her out of the debate. So, I mean, she's not wrong.
She's not. She's just not leftist enough.
Yeah. No, I think that's a lot of it.
Yeah, she's going to have to run as a Republican.
Now, of course, Cory Booker, he's got to have one on here. Spartacus.
Yeah, Spartacus. What did Spartacus sing?
So Spartacus came out with one, and because he's a senator and he complains about this person a lot.
Mm-hmm.
His was, "You're a mean one, Mr. Mitch."
It was great.
Right.
It was a great tune.
Thank you. Yes. Well, I mean, that's about that's the musical capacity of Cory Booker right there.
Basically true.
Right.
Said like that too.
Because I mean, that's a song you kind of have to have a deep manly voice for, and Cory Booker just ain't got it.
Yeah. And this one came out of left field to me. She's about as unknown to me as Billie Eilish. I don't know who that is, actually.
I don't know who Billie Eilish is.
I got nothing. Apparently that's popular. But I didn't know this particular candidate, but her name is Amy Klobuchar.
Yeah, Senator Amy Klobuchar, yeah.
Yeah, Klobuchar. I didn't know she existed. But I guess she kind of, it makes sense.
Oh, well, what's hers?
Well, hers was, "Mary, did you know I'm actually still in this race?"
Well, maybe Mary didn't know, and she needed to know.
Apparently, there's a lot of mansplaining going on for Mary there.
Well, speaking of mansplaining, we got another man that he's our next candidate. Good old sad commie Bernie Sanders.
Oh, that old white guy?
Yes, the old white guy that is, just nipping at Joe Biden's heels at this one. So, and he's got a beautiful singing voice.
Oh, that's a good one, yeah.
So he comes out with this one. "Last Christmas, they replaced my heart."
That makes sense. Because he's had how many health problems this year? He had a heart attack, didn't he?
Yeah, you've heard of the Elf on the Shelf?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, at the next debate, they're going to have Bernie on a gurney.
Very festive. Do they occasionally move
seasonal,
him?
Yeah. So they'll just no. It's I think that you ever seen those experiments that they did with biology students, that they'll just send an electric pulse through a frog to make him hop.
Yeah.
I think that's what they do with Bernie. They've got a little button that they press and it just sends a jolt of electricity through him, and that's why he's so wiry.
All we got, guys.
The 1%.
It's Weekend at Bernie's if they had electricity.
Right.
Yeah.
It was made about him.
Oh. All right. Well, I kind of liked this one. Actually, I was really excited because I liked the subject matter a lot.
Oh.
But Kamala Harris came out with one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She's out of the race, but, she's still on the album. That's good.
Yeah, and that's good that they included her.
Right.
But it was definitely an homage to her campaign. But it goes like this. "I'll be home for Christmas and every other day because I lost."
Oh.
It's not good.
No. She's not going to be on the campaign trail anymore, and now somebody's just going to have a giant bus with the word Kamala across the side of it for no apparent reason.
I mean, it's probably a drug car, but yeah.
Yeah, they could.
It was always that, though.
I don't know. She'd probably arrest anybody that used drugs on it. Put them in jail.
I'm forfeiting this.
Kamala Harris, the Democrats' most famous narc.
Yes.
Well, Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah,
that's a guy that loves the holidays, loves him some Christmas.
He does.
He loves talking about the religious aspect of it and going to church right before he goes home and has gay sex with somebody.
Absolutely.
So
that Christian gay there.
Right on there. Well, Pete Buttigieg, his song is "I Saw Daddy Kissing Santa Claus."
He had a rough childhood, guys.
Yeah.
It was rough on him.
Well, I mean, that explains why he is the way he is.
It does explains a lot.
You want to know the truth?
Mm-hmm.
I had two that were a lot worse than I thought about including on this list that I could not put. It's a family show.
This will be on the unedited version.
Yeah, I don't think the world is ready for the Tactics After Dark version. It's pretty bad.
We're all sitting around in a smoke room.
Yeah,
they'll never know your identity.
No.
I got nothing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this one I thought was pretty good.
Oh.
Elizabeth Warren, who I happen to be more Indian than.
Right.
True story. So she came out with a song.
Oh.
And it's "I'm dreaming of a 99.91% white Christmas."
Well, that's every Christmas for her, right?
I mean, that's basically her entire life, but yeah.
Well,
as she powwows.
Yeah. But Laura, I want to ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
What do people love most about President Trump?
His candor.
Well, yeah, I would say that. But what
His
is it
hair?
about his... No, I don't think that's it. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think his hair.
It's inspiring.
But his personality, he's got the cult of personality behind him, but it's mostly because what? He punches back at people.
Yes, he does.
And
We
whenever
like that.
they do something, he counterpunches. Like, that's his thing.
Yeah.
Well, not to be outdone by the Democrats.
We would not have that.
President Trump also put out a Christmas song.
What? A bonus?
Yes, and it is trolling the Democrats, as you would
As it
expect
should be,
from
yeah.
the president. So his is, have a Wally Christmas.
It's a great one.
He loves that wall.
And happy 2020 year.
I could actually, when you said that, I could actually see President Trump just smirking at the camera. Like that showed up in my head.
That needs to show up on the camera.
Oh, for sure. Maybe I should add that later.
We're gonna go film him.
Anyway. All right, so that's the DNC Christmas album, and you know what that means. We're coming to close to the end of the show. It's time for the Daily Dose of Stupid.
Oh yeah.
That was stupid.
I know it was stupid.
Really stupid.
Hey, I just said it was stupid.
And today's Daily Dose of Stupid is also going to be Christmas themed,
Oh, a good one.
of
Yes.
course, because it is our big Festivus special.
My clients are never kind enough to do their daily dose of stupid as, Christmas themed.
I thought your clients were the Daily Dose of Stupid
They're
sometimes.
like my daily life is stupid.
No, I'm kidding.
I love my clients.
Well, I mean, I definitely could see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been a lawyer, so I don't know what that's like. But I imagine that people come to you because they're in trouble and need help, and so.
Yeah, usually the opposing party's being stupid.
I see. See,
That's how this works.
That's why I'm not a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody else has been stupid towards them, and you're trying to help them out. Okay, I get
That's how I'm phrasing it.
it. All right. So today's Daily Dose of Stupid, Christmas themed.
Yes.
What do you think about when you think about Christmas?
Well, toys.
Yes, presents
Yes.
for little kids.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there are some parents that are taking issue with some of the toys being marketed to kids.
Oh, which ones?
Yeah, I know we have stories like this pretty much every year, but this one's interesting. It's a different spin on it. So there's an advocacy group that doesn't like big Nerf guns. They think that the Nerf guns are too big, too scary, and that they're marketing them as assault rifles.
What?
No, this is a thing.
What?
So here's a quote from the story. This is from their letter directed at the company that makes Nerf guns. When your products themselves violate your most of your proclaimed corporate values, something is very wrong. How does promoting play with huge automatic weapons create joy, creativity, and connection around the world and across generations, and make the world a better place for children? How do these weapon products use your business as a force for good? Who would this child be shooting with his cache of assault weapons? Now, you've fired firearms quite a bit. I have too. Anyone that thinks that firing a gun cannot create joy has never fired a gun.
Okay, I started shooting actual guns, like rifles, when I was 6.
I was in my first shooting contest at 13.
Yeah. So, and I don't shoot
Placed
up
in third,
places.
by the way.
Hey,
Yeah. First time ever held a gun. Third place. Not bad.
I mean, not bad. But I mean, we don't get the urge to shoot up places.
The vast majority, like how many millions and millions of Nerf guns sell every single year?
I don't know. It's got to be several million. That's crazy.
Right, but we're not having mass shootings left and right.
It makes me think of that movie, A Christmas Story. And he wants that BB gun.
The Red Ryder BB gun.
The Red Ryder. And everybody keeps telling, you'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Yeah.
Okay. Since when have we gone from that concern to he's got to shoot everybody?
Yeah, no, it's absurd. We have really made a weird turn. And here's another thing, too. When you talk about it doesn't foster creativity, I have to wholeheartedly disagree. It takes a lot of creativity to think up new ways to destroy things.
Entirely true.
It's a process.
Takes creativity to figure out how exactly do I sneak up on my brother this
Right.
time without him catching me enough to hit him.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why Nerf also makes swords.
Yes.
But anyway, here's the thing. They do make these guns to look menacing. They also make regular guns to look menacing because people like having the menacing looking gun, and the threat factor is also part of the intimidation in real life too. Because if you were to see somebody with a handgun, you would obviously be threatened, but not as threatened if you see somebody holding an AR-15.
Entirely
and that's
accurate.
a good thing. That's one of the reasons people buy those guns, is because they do look more menacing.
But are far less difficult to use.
That too.
Yeah.
That's part of it as well. But here's the thing, Laura, and roll with me on this. What's the purpose of play?
To create imagination, to occupy children so they don't bother their parents.
Well, that's also, I would say that that's part of it, but you would agree that most of what is traditionally considered play is, and this is true in animal species as well as human beings, to sort of simulate real life scenarios, real life situations.
Yeah.
And part of the reason that play is so important for children is because they're developing skills, they're developing a worldview. With boys, one of the things that they like to do is play as combatants. They like to play fight. They like to use, fake weapons or whatever. This is true of me and my brother. It's true of virtually every boy. Girls to a degree too, but primarily boys.
If it's true of girls, it's just self-defense because they have brothers.
Well,
that was me.
I was about to say, that. You have two brothers. So.
Yeah.
But why is that important for a young boy?
That's because, when they grow up, they become the defender. They are the protector.
Right. And so what they're doing is they're focusing on the violence itself and the aggression itself, and not the purpose of what that aggression is supposed to do.
Yeah.
Because having a man that is completely unaggressive, that would stay out of a fight no matter what, that's not a man that's going to be capable of defending people, whether it's you, your children, whatever. And what drives me up a wall is that the same kind of women that would complain about this and talk about how horrible it is that we're teaching young boys to be violent and we should never encourage even simulated violence are the same ones that will complain that there's no manly men out there anymore.
Yeah, I mean, they're the ones that's creating that.
Right. These are playing like this. It is creating a fake scenario in a safe environment so that boys can learn, if you're going to use violence, whether you're, pretending to shoot somebody, you want to be the good guy. You want to be the one that is taking out your aggression and channeling it for the right reasons. And that's what these people don't seem to understand.
Yeah. Okay. So if you're a parent that's afraid of your child playing with a Nerf gun, that tells me one of two things. Either one, there's not a male figure in that home. That's what that tells me. Or number two, you passed down the mass murderer gene. I don't know. That's what I got.
Well, I do think, though, that legitimately there are some issues here that people, we're trying so hard to make little boys into little girls, and we've tried that for a couple decades now, and it has not yielded good results.
No, women are horrible. Why would you want more of them?
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
I will.
I've noticed that, and there's a little bit of wisdom that I've taken that I think is really good. There's a great scene, and I can't remember what show it's from, but it's a boy talking to his father, and this is a guy who just recently got married, and he's like, Dad, I got to tell you, I thought that it would be better once I got married, but I just do not understand women at all. He's like, son, you're going about this the wrong way. You're not supposed to understand women. Women understand women, and they hate one another. So,
we barely understand ourselves. Just being honest here.
Right, but the point is, maybe we should understand a little less, and that'll help us get along with women.
You just need to understand one woman, and then you're good.
Yeah, well, good luck with that to everybody out there that's trying.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand my own self.
Here's another quote, and this is another one that kind of caught my eye. As we watch holiday toy commercials, we see the Nerf Ultra 1. This is the gun that they're advertising, that they're talking about. And another extreme, Nerf machine guns for children that are reminded of mass shootings that have devastated American children and families for decades now. All right, so a couple points here. First of all, they're saying these Nerf machine guns for kids are the ones that are reminding these kids and traumatizing them because they're the kinds that are used in mass shootings.
And yet the sales are up, so that's cool.
Well, I don't know if the sales are up or not, but here's the thing. When was the last time a machine gun was used in a mass shooting?
I can't think of any.
You know why? Because there aren't any. There has never been on American soil ever a machine gun or an automatic weapon used in a mass shooting. Not once.
And most people don't have machine guns anyway.
No, I mean, you have to be basically a millionaire to even be legally allowed to own a machine gun.
Yeah, those things expensive.
And so that's the thing that's funny. Now, there are machine gun Nerf guns. Like, there are Nerf guns that you hold down the trigger and it just sprays some bullets. Like, I've used those before.
Yeah.
So I can attest to those existing. But as far as, like, an actual machine gun, they're saying that these are the same kind of machine guns they're using mass shootings. No, there's never been a mass shooting perpetrated with a machine gun. Not once.
It's basically, I think the left views anything that has a higher capacity than 6 bullets as a machine gun.
I think
That's
it was
basically what they think.
Bloomberg recommended 5, which is hilarious. It's like, well, you couldn't even hold a traditional revolver then.
It's not even a thing. Like, no.
There aren't guns with less than 5 bullets. Unless you're carrying a Derringer.
You really, if you're doing that, that's like, we're doing that as a, concealed carry kind of thing. But no, you better be a really good shot if you could do it with less than 5 bullets.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing, too. I think it's because they've only seen, like, action movies. Like, first of all, we're not all Jason Bourne, and even Jason Bourne isn't Jason Bourne. Like, the stuff that goes on in those movies are not real.
Yeah, if you're going to get me to, like, hit my target within 5 shots, you got to tick me off, like, mansplain to me. It's about the only way it's going to work.
I'll have to remember that. But here's another thing, too, that they talk about mass shootings that have traumatized our kids for decades. Now, granted, I'm not saying mass shootings aren't a real problem, but they're actually far less common than they used to be back when we had less Nerf guns and less real guns
true.
out in circulation. In fact, schools specifically are far less common than they used to be. Do you know that a school in the 90s was 4 times more likely to experience a mass shooting than they were today?
No, had not heard that.
And here's another one you probably haven't heard. Did you realize that in Wisconsin, within the span of 24 hours, they had 2 different school shootings?
No,
on December 3rd. You know why you didn't hear about it?
Why?
Because the 2 people that were doing the shooting were school resource officers taking out a threat.
Well, that makes sense.
And the only people that were injured, in one case, a principal was injured because he got stabbed. The kid had a knife. And in the other case, the school resource officer was there and happened to stop him before he could hurt anybody.
Huh. And of course, you would never hear that because that's not pushing the right narrative.
That's not convenient to the left's anti-gun narrative. And a mass shooting not happening is not nearly as big a news story as it happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of that, and I understand why, because of course people being dead makes it a bigger story than people being not dead.
Yes, we do like it when people are not dead.
But the point is, I would put down money right now. Both of those school resource officers probably had Nerf guns or something akin to it when they were kids. Because they learned then you use weapons and you use aggression in a positive way to defend other people. And that carried forward to a career where they save lives.
Yeah, I agree with that. I can't think of a little boy out there that didn't have a toy gun of some kind.
Well, I think that's just a great testament to how, if used properly, even simulated violence in play is actually a positive thing. So I tell you what, we're about to wind it down. We'll go to the chaplain's report.
In 1775, the Continental Congress created the Chaplain Corps. Under the command of General George Washington, each soldier was required to attend worship service every Sunday. While other armies advanced on their feet, Washington's troops advanced on their knees. It's time for the Chaplain's Report with Caleb Colquitt on tactics.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Our Chaplain's Report today actually comes from the book of Acts. And Laura, I know that you're very familiar with this as well. There's so many phrases and so many things that we draw from the Bible, it's literally impossible to calculate its influence on the English language.
Entirely true.
And there's certain phrases that get used, especially around this time of year, that people probably don't even realize are biblical in nature.
Like comfort and joy.
Right. Another one that I was thinking of, and this is going to be the really kind of the meat and potatoes of our topic today. It's better to give than to receive. A lot of people don't realize that's a Bible verse.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And I know I didn't realize it until I think I was a teenager. I thought it was just like a random proverb that I heard all the time. I didn't realize it was actually from the Bible. Mm-hmm. So here's the thing, though, and I think that you would probably agree with this too. How many times do people know like a little snippet of something that's in the Bible, but they don't really understand the context, and because of that, they don't really get the full effect?
Like all the time. Mostly like, the whole do not judge thing.
Right. I mean, that's a good example. Like, if you understand the context surrounding it, you understand that the way that people usually characterize it is the exact opposite of what it's saying.
Yeah, all the time.
But this is one in particular that I think context really helps us. So, to understand the context of this verse that comes from Acts chapter 20, Paul is leaving Ephesus, and he's sort of giving his sign-off speech. He's saying goodbye to everybody, and it's very emotional. This is a congregation that Paul has really sort of fostered from the very beginning up until now, and he's visited several times, written them a couple of letters. They're very close with Paul. And so they're giving this very sort of tear-jerking goodbye speech before he departs from them. And here's what's really important. Paul knows he's not coming back. I mean, this is kind of the scene, to set it up, it's kind of like one of those movie scenes where the hero's about to walk away and he knows he's not coming back because he's just not going to be able to. He's going to either sacrifice himself or something. That's what we're seeing out of Paul right now. And because of his prophetic abilities, he knows that's what's happening. He actually says that I'm about to suffer persecution. I'm going to go through imprisonment. And so he knows it's not that he doesn't want to come back or he doesn't want to be with the Ephesians. He knows he's never going to see him again. And he says that. And so that really sets the scene to help you understand why this verse is so significant, because he's about to undergo a very severe persecution that separates him from the people that he cares about at Ephesus. And this is the last time he's ever going to get to see them. So this verse comes from Acts chapter 20, verses 34 and 35. You yourselves know that these hands ministered to my own needs and to the men who were with me. In everything I showed you that by working hard in this manner, you must help the weak and remember the words of the Lord Jesus, that he himself said, it is more blessed to give than to receive. And how many times do you hear that phrase uttered? How many times do you hear people say that around the holidays?
No, all the time.
Right. It's better to give than receive. And that's fine. It's a good thing to say. It's appropriate for this time of year where we're supposed to be more focused on the giving of gifts than we are what we're going to get out of it.
It's a very good saying.
Yeah. But when you put it in that light, it takes on a whole different life, because you understand that the reason that Paul is telling them that is not because he's wanting them to experience the joy of giving or whatever, which is, of course, part of it. But primarily, he's saying there are people that are sick and weak and in need, and I need to know that they're going to be okay because you're going to take care of them, because I'm not going to be able to do it anymore. That's a really powerful message from the Apostle Paul.
Absolutely.
And when you understand it from that light, I think what really hits home for us is that we all know that someday we're going to pass from this world, and there are going to be people that probably depended on us. Now, you may live the kind of life where nobody depends on you and you don't help people, and that would, of course, be a tragic existence.
Scrooge.
Right. But primarily, what we're looking at is somebody like Paul that spent his life serving people, taking care of people. And if you want to look at somebody that is modeling Christ in their life and really sort of taking home, and this is his own words from the book of Colossians, having the mind of Christ in you, I think this verse really encapsulates that. Because what did Jesus say while he was on the cross?
Take care of my mother.
Right. Exactly. When he's sitting there on the cross, a time where nobody would blame him for thinking about himself.
Mm-hmm.
He's worried about the apostles, and he's worried about his mom. So he's constantly worried about other people, even when he's in peril and he's about to go through something. And I think to really encapsulate that spirit of that phrase that we use all the time, it's better to give than to receive, we need to remember that the reason that saying was uttered in the scripture was because Paul was taking care of people that needed him. And he was modeling Christ in his life because of that. And I think if we keep that in mind, then that idea of giving and receiving, it's not just about Christmas presents. That's a great thing, and I enjoy getting presents for people myself, usually donations for the Human Fund.
Yeah.
But ultimately, what I think is important to remember here is we need to live a life where we take care of those that are less fortunate, and when we give of ourselves, we give on a daily basis to those that need it, not just presents to people that we want to, shower with blessings, and that's a good thing, but
That's really where that phrase comes from. And I think that if we keep that in mind and we do that throughout our lives, that's going to be the kind of life that Christ is going to be proud of.
That's how you spread Christmas cheer all year.
There you go. It sounds like a Christmas special, but it really is. Well, thank you so much for being with us, Laura. We appreciate you being with us for the Christmas special. Laura Clark, everybody.
Hey.
Thanks for being with us. We will see you after New Year's. Stay the course, friends.
Tactics is a production of News Radio 1440 and Cumulus Media Montgomery. Any opinions expressed on this program are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Cumulus Media. The theme song for Tactics is 6 Foot Town by Big and Rich. Graphics by Jessica Dawson. Broadcast studios provided by Cumulus Media Montgomery. Location studios provided by the Dalrata Church of Christ. Copyright